Would you like to crush your opponents with the strongest old-school creatures? Do you think you have what it takes to tame the raw power of this aggressive deck? In this video, I will present a very solid deck list of Temur Zoo. I will divide it into two groups, spells and mana base, explaining a little bit how each individual card impacts the game. After having a nice overview, I will also speak about the flex slots so you can customize it to your personal taste. Also, if you like these videos, why not subscribe and support me on Patreon? It would help me a lot to continue making more of them. But for now, let's see how far we can go understanding Temur Zoo. This deck list was originally designed by Stephen Menendian, a masterpiece of ingenuity and hard work put together. So thanks, Stephen. We play 4 Kid Ape as our best turn 1 drop. During the early turns, only Mishra's factories stand in their way. 4 Serendip Ifrit as an additional early threat that ignores Moat and Lightning Bolt. The damage we receive from them is nothing compared to the pressure they apply to our opponent. 2 Ernan Jin as an upgrade after our opponent has dealt with its 2 previous Arabian Nights siblings of this list. The forest walk they provide is mostly irrelevant for us, since we should be playing the aggressor role. 1 Serendip Jin as the mid-game finisher, in case that everything else didn't work. Its downside is dangerous, but it wins the game by itself in just a few turns if it survives long enough. 4 Lightning Bolt as our versatile early game 1 mana cost removal, as well as the late game direct damage. Its best target will always be a defending Mishra's factory, since it clears the path for our Kirt Apes and it sends our opponent 1 turn back in terms of tempo. 3 Chain Lightning as extra early removal or late burn to send upstairs. If you wonder why 1 copy of Chain Lightning was cut in order to make room for an extra fireball, just have a look at their individual performance in the top old school creature removals video. 2 Fireball to deal with bigger threats of toughness 4 or higher in the mid game, or simply to throw it at the opponent's face to finish the game. Having a single copy is a must-have in this deck, but we play 2, since it increases the chances of comboing with Channel. 1 Mana Drain as a hard counter that supports our tempo play, providing us mana in the next turn to play either a creature or a big fireball. 3 Power Sink to disrupt mid-game tempo breakers like Balance, Wrath of God, Moat, or the Abyss. Be wise and don't waste them on anything else that doesn't really affect your tempo. You'll thank me afterwards. The 2 Red Elemental Blast represent mostly a meta call. They are able to destroy opposing Serendip Ifrits, brute force any of your spells being countered by blue, and it breaks the card advantage plan of certain decks, countering their Ancestral Recalls and Fat Brain Gazers. 1 Chaos Orb to deal with any sneaky threat that we couldn't disrupt previously. Being able to cast it preemptively is a great advantage for our tempo play. Splash Blue implies the use of Ancestral Recall, and this deck wouldn't do any different. More cards mean more threats. Wheel of Fortune refills our hand to continue the aggression or come back from an unfavorable situation. Time Twister replenishes our hand as well, and brings back our previously spent goodies. Burn spells are particularly useful here, since they can steal the game very quickly. The 1 of Sylvan Library to produce immediate extra fuel in the early turns, as well as to smoothen our draws afterwards. Channel offers the possibility to have sick late game turns sequencing Wheel of Fortunes, Time Twisters, and big creatures for very little mana investment. Of course, it also enables the YOLO mode of this deck, comboing perfectly with the 2 fireballs. Leroy Jenkins would be so proud. Time Walk is a devastating late game card. It provides an extra turn that kills the opponent before they can build up their defenses. Combine it with Regrowth to dip your opponent in extra unfair sauce. Regrowth brings back any relevant card we already used. like Ancestral Recall, a key creature, the last burn spell we need, or that Time Walk we mentioned earlier. Recall is a more expensive form of virtual card advantage. At a high mana price, we can trade those 1 or 2 unnecessary lands for something much more meaningful from our graveyard. Thinking about recovering Regrowth and Time Walk? You got it right. This completes the set of spells. Let's have a look at the mana base. Black Lotus, 3 Moxes and Soul Ring to boost our tempo. We play 4 City of Brass because it is very important for this deck to have the right color in the right moment, especially in the first 3 turns. 4 Taigas, 3 Volcanic Island and 3 Tropical Island as a stable mana source to provide our 3 main colors. 4 Mishra's Factories support us at the beginning with colorless mana, as well as by becoming additional aggressors during the mid-game. One could argue that the Library of Alexandria goes against the aggressor role of this deck, but drawing 1 extra card per turn is so devastating in the old school format that it's definitely worth it to slow down the speed in exchange for doubling our resources. We conclude with the addition of 1 Strip Mine, primarily so that we can destroy an opposing Library of Alexandria or blocking Mishra's Factory in the right moment. This completes the full main deck list. It is time now to present the flex slots. If you want to experiment replacing some cards of this list, I recommend to have a look at the following flex slots. 1 or 2 Red Elemental Blast, the Recall, the Channel, 1 Fireball, the Library of Alexandria. Of course, the replacements will depend on both your taste and your metagame, but here are some suggestions. 1 Chain Lightning, 1 or 2 Shatter, 1 or 2 extra Ernam Genes, several Suchis, 1 or 2 Psionic Blast. Now we know how to build a very solid deck list for Temur Zoo. The most important factors are to keep proper ratios between creatures, burn, and draw. Choosing whether to play the Channel Fireball combo is entirely up to you. Now that you have a clear picture of how the main deck of Temur Zoo looks like, what do you think? Could this be your deck of choice? Would you play a completely different list? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, this is not over yet. Stay put for the next video, where I will present the sideboard and how to board against the top decks in the format. See you in the next one!